Hello, my name is Lewis Cole. I am an interventional cardiologist at Hennepin Healthcare in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I'm excited to join Cardiovascular Innovations Digital 2020, where I plan to discuss what new devices excite me the most. I have to admit my initial response to being assigned this topic was a little bit of a meh. Radial access is well established. First generation bioresorbable scaffolds could not match metallic stents, and many changes in the PCI space seem smaller and iterative when compared to the cool things that are happening in the structural world, like this recent study shown on the right. But reconsidering the topic through the lens of improved patient care, there are exciting devices on the horizon. I'm going to start with drug-coated balloons, which no longer are a niche product for treating in-stent restenosis. Drug-coated balloons are being considered for all types of coronary lesions. While not mainstream in the US, there's gathering momentum for use of drug-coated balloons in de novo coronary lesions. In this review and meta-analysis by Urasi and colleagues, shown on the right of the slide, there is suggestion that outcomes with drug-coated balloons may be equivalent to modern drug-eluting stents. And there are 10 randomized clinical trials of drug-coated balloons that are planned or in progress. I agree with the authors of this report that patients with small or distal vessel disease and those with diabetes should be the focus of study. There are some areas where we'd like to exercise caution in the use of drug-coated balloons. This study from the SCAR registry in Sweden did suggest a potential increase in restenosis, but this study primarily took data from earlier generation drug-coated balloons, so we'll need to see what happens with modern generation devices. And it's worth mentioning, given the experience with bioresorbable scaffolds and the excellent performance of second generation metallic stents, both with durable and bioresorbable polymers, that DCBs have a high bar to clear to demonstrate efficacy, and they need to do so over a long clinical period. I'm going to quickly highlight a couple trials that have been published of bioresorbable polymer stents, like the MyStent in Dissolve 3, recent data from the Twilight trial with the Synergy platform, and most interestingly, the BioFlow 5 3-year data, which suggests that ultra-thin bioresorbable polymer DES may be even better than durable polymer drug-eluting stents in conjunction with 6 months of DAPT through 3 years. So what's the future for drug-coated balloons? I think as Jaeger and colleagues recently proposed, we need to come up with an algorithm for use of these devices, and we need to figure out where they fit in our armamentarium. Do they allow us to shorten DAPT? Are there specific lesion subsets that are ideal for these devices? I think time will see. And we need the ability to understand whether these devices can also be safely and efficaciously deployed in acute coronary syndrome, bifurcation lesions, etc. The next device that I'd like to highlight is coronary intravascular lithotripsy. This is the central figure from the Disrupt CAD-2 study published last year, showing that the intracoronary lithotripsy shockwave device could be delivered in each case. It could be performed safely and did seem to crack the plaque in a vast majority of the lesions, as the device is designed to do. Another recent publication demonstrated this group's experience with intracoronary lithotripsy. Not surprisingly, they found that intravascular lithotripsy was most successful as a primary treatment rather than as a bailout strategy when high pressure balloon dilation or stenting wasn't successful. But this isn't particularly surprising given the selection bias. Intracoronary lithotripsy or intravascular lithotripsy technology has been utilized successfully and increasingly frequently in large vessel preparation for TAVI. As prior early phase studies and clinical experience have suggested reasonable safety and efficacy, The Disrupt CAD trial is ongoing in the US and the European Union, with design and rationale recently published. This trial uses the Orbit-2 trial of orbital atherectomy as the comparator. If the safety of the Disrupt CAD-2 trial can be replicated, my hope for intravascular lithotripsy is that it can be deployed with lower activation energy than orbital atherectomy and in lesions where there might be somewhat less severe calcification. The next steps would be a head-to-head comparison with orbital atherectomy or a study of escalation protocols for treatment of calcified lesions. I'm going to go to the lightning round for 3 additional things that I'm excited about that more represent optimization of current resources. I work at a county hospital with limited resource, and I don't always have immediate access to all the newest technologies, like many of you, I suspect. Therefore, I'm equally excited to learn how to repurpose what I've already got. I really liked this just published study from EuroPCR, in which the investigators used existing CT angiogram data to determine what are the optimal angiographic views for PCI of bifurcation lesions. I'm also very excited about routine invasive coronary functional testing, as reported here by Ford and colleagues, which appears to have resulted in improved angina outcomes for patients who are able to be treated according to their angina phenotype, be it coronary vasospasm or microvascular disease. This same concept was seconded by Rahman et al. In a recent publication in Circulation Cardiovascular Imaging. And finally, I'd like to highlight the amazing presentation by Dr. Mehta at Sky Virtual 2020, discussing the Latin telemedicine program, which has enabled millions of patients to be screened for STEMI in under 4 minutes. Even more exciting as an outgrowth from this study, given its scalability, is the potential for a single lead patient-administered EKG that may allow us to extend our reach both internationally to resource-poor areas and locally to rural areas and other places with less access to 24-hour PCI centers. This has great potential to improve access and reduce disparities. I'd like to end with this conclusion slide and would like to thank the organizers for having me and invite any questions that you may have virtually or via email at lewis.cole@hcmed.org.